welcome to another edition of Advancio Talks, live from Las Vegas. Welcome to ITC Connect 2023. How do you like that intro?
Good, yeah. Definitely practice as I like to see it.
We have a very special guest today. We have my friend Hunter Plumley. Hunter, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. Hopefully we have some good conversation.
Yeah, what do you think of the show so far?
It's bigger than I expected. This is my first year here, and it's a lot to take in. It's overwhelming, but I'm learning a lot. Trying to remember as much as I can to take back with me.
So my friend Hunter here is a geek.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, born geek, raised geek, always.
That's right. We wear that with a badge of honor.
Yeah.
So Hunter, tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah. So I'm been a geek my whole life. I was always into computers. Obviously wanted to be into that. My senior project in high school, I built my own computer, and that was kind of the gateway into, okay, well, I definitely want to do something with this.
That's the fix.
Yeah. So went into college. Probably should have picked electrical engineering, actually, because I really enjoyed the hardware. But computer science, I was like, oh, that sounds good. So went with it and fell in love. Started learning the different languages, just kind of getting into the code. Really loved the problem solving, the logical thinking. Loved it. So that was for me. It was all pedal to the metal from there. Right out of college, moved down, found a great opportunity with Insuresoft, based out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And it was something that honestly was going to be a temporary job. It was coming out of college. All the people in tech know. Everybody's looking for that 2 to 5 year type stuff. You got to build that experience up. So it was like, oh, this is going to be a temporary thing. My wife was getting her master's at the time, so it felt temporary to kind of be down there and stuff. But man, got there and absolutely fell in love with the company, with the people. I've never felt more of like a family unit anywhere else I worked. So they hooked me right off the bat. So that's what got me into kind of the insurance scene. So I've been learning that over the past 7 years that I've been at Insuresoft.
So Insuresoft, one of the largest policy management systems out there, very, very well known in the industry.
Yeah, definitely known as the kind of the relationship company. We tout our 100% implementation success rate. We've never had a failed implementation, and the company's been in business for 30 years. So that's a really good statistic if you look at it over that time.
That puts you in a position where you're front and center to the insurance technology, because you guys are building this technology that manages and runs insurance.
Yes.
So just in the last 10 years or so, there's been a major shift. It's a major shift in the insurance space when it comes to technology. We're talking about an Insuresoft, right? Like we're talking about on-prem, now all of a sudden everything's cloud.
Yep.
Like before we're talking about desktop versus web.
Yep.
So the last 10 years, in a way, we've seen a very, very fast-paced change in the insurance. But the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen an exponentially scary change in insurance. What do you think that is?
So I think, and it's something, technology as a whole, I think every field feels that. Technology, it increases so rapidly, you can never keep up. Everybody's always, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Everything's technology, you're always learning. It never ends. And you got to kind of be comfortable with that. And I think insurance has been a little interesting to kind of get into and see, because 10 years ago, from everybody I've talked to and learned from, it was kind of slow going. It was slow adoption of some technologies and stuff. Then, like you said, cloud was a really big thing. Next couple years after that, it was really the low code, no code kind of boom. And it's just kind of ramped up. And as those things have been successful, I think that's been driving, the latest and greatest, the generative AI, and machine learning, all that stuff is booming.
Well, funny, like when we talk about insurance in general, very legacy.
Oh, absolutely.
Industry.
Yeah, there's still people on mainframe systems and stuff.
Yeah. AS400 is coming back to life.
Yep.
And we got into the cloud finally. We've seen a lot of hybrid clouds, in a sense where like we're on the cloud, but we're still running just a virtualized version of on-prem on the cloud.
Yeah.
I understand it's a very heavy investment to actually re-architect all these these core policy systems into a truly service-based app. what would it take to get there? Because eventually, like to truly be serverless, we need to move into that architecture.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think is missing?
So I think maybe just kind of the long-term planning of it, because it's a long effort, like that migration type stuff that you're talking about to migrate some of that stuff that you're used to and move it to that new technology. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of conversion that happens in there, a lot of data, kind of migrations, a lot of new technology that you have to kind of implement and work with. And us at Insuresoft, we're all cloud focused on Azure. We're a Microsoft Gold certified shop, so everything we do.
Shout out to Microsoft. We're a Microsoft Gold partner.
Yeah, so shout out to them. But their stack, makes it super simple to kind of integrate with the cloud. So we've been cloud heavy for really as long as I've been at Insuresoft. We've been really pushing that. But it's more than just, okay, yeah, we're on the cloud, but how do we utilize it? And with the newer technology kind of catching up, we're in the process of migrating to .NET Core, our whole system to .NET Core. That gives a lot more capabilities to the deployments to the cloud. It speeds up that entire process. The efficiencies that we're going to see for that, and we're already starting to see some as we're doing this process. It's you get the tech guys in there. It's like kids in a candy store of kind of all the cool tools in the toolbox that we didn't even know existed, and how fast we can do things now. So you got to have that forefront, that planning, and you got to pull the trigger on it. You got to make the effort. It's going to be some, but the back end you're going to make up for whatever you put up front tenfold.
Well, like you said, it's a matter of making that first step, right?
Yeah.
Because the tools are there. Microsoft's done a great job with DevOps, Azure pipelines, Azure services, and it's so tightly integrated that you still need DevOps, but you don't nearly need as many as you did before, right?
Yeah,
it's like everything is now automated. It's one click or one command.
Yeah, exactly.
One command away. So that explains a little bit the adoption. You're right. It's more like a business thing. It's not easy to kind of fix the car, fix the tires while you're driving the car.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next part of technology adoption. What we see every day, right? AI.
Yep.
Right? So AI is not a new concept, right? It's the most common AI we've seen or we remember is basically dating back to the early 2000s with machine learning and predictive models and all that. That's been there for a while.
Yep.
And then maybe like 7 years ago, we started seeing this cognitive AI, like vision AI and sentiment and speech recognition and all that. It feels like with this Gen AI, it's like it took a boost that adoption hasn't seen something like that before. Like it just exploded all of a sudden. What do you think that's attributed to?
So I think we actually owe a lot of that to some of the much larger companies, the Googles, the Amazons, the Microsofts of the world, who really did invest a lot of money to kind of develop those and bring those really to the forefront of the general population's mind, to kind of make it normal and not that just vague, like kind of scary artificial intelligence kind of buzzword. Because I think that's a shift we've seen over the last couple of years, with like ChatGPT and stuff. People are using it day to day to do things. They're getting more trusting of that AI. And I think that has definitely made the boom. As the general population all is like starting to accept this as a future technology, all the other industries are kind of looking at it like, okay, yeah, this is something that's trustworthy. Obviously, there's still some guessing of like, okay, how does this help us? There's still, what's the problem? Like AI is like an obvious solution to a lot of things, and we've seen imaging and the generative like just conversation type stuff with ChatGPT, all kinds of crazy things. But how do we utilize that? And I think that's still that kind of space that we're in. And I know if you were sitting in on any of the kind of the AI talks and stuff, that kind of was the sense you got from those of AI is great, it's going to be amazing, it's going to fix so many things, but there was never that concrete of like, this is what it's fixing. The problem we're solving with it is not concrete yet. That's the thing that's what's so exciting. It's why there's so many like startups and so many things here you see of people trying to find that niche to use AI and really tackle it, I think, in the insurance space. But I think the general population kind of accepting it has definitely helped the boom.
I think that's the key word, general population, right? It's I think the fact that it's consumer driven, this change is because we deal with it on a day-to-day. I think ChatGPT changed the way we all think about AI, right? Yeah. We've all seen a version of cognitive vision. We just never tied it to AI.
Yeah.
Right? You walk in through the airport security, your face gets. You look at the camera. What do you think? Somebody tells you look at the camera, right? It's because they want you to. That's getting processed through AI. But ChatGPT actually gave AI a human face.
Yes.
Like we can interact with it.
Yep.
I think a lot of decision makers are now saying, well, if AI can change my personal life through these Google Assistants and Alexa and ChatGPT, imagine what it could do for my business. So now you have all these business people more open to R&D and exploring AI capabilities within the business setting. I think that just drove the demand on. I wouldn't say on making AI in every single piece of our business, but at least open the demand to experiment with AI in every single.
Use it to innovate something is, I think, is the key. That if where all the business is kind of pushing of like, how can we use it? That's the big question. How can we use it? Let's get into it, get involved, do some research, play with it, experiment. And that's the exciting thing. That the devs love that, right? They want the shiny new toy. They want to build something cool. So we're loving it.
I'll take a 3-month POC any day.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your vision for AI within this industry. Obviously, it started with fraud detection, product building through machine learning and models and all that. Where do you see it going? What's the extent to?
I think some of the data analytic piece of it, I think, is big. I don't think that's going away. Some of the kind of co-pilot, assistant stuff, I don't see it going to where it's going to be replacing underwriters and agents and stuff. But I do see it as that co-pilot to really kind of offer you.
What a good name, isn't it?
That interactive kind of back and forth that people are used to with like ChatGPT and stuff like that. But in their day-to-day, in your work, where you see something or the AI can recognize a pattern and kind of flag something, that it may put something together that would take, an underwriter 2-3 days of, some trying to even spotting it, figuring it out, and then trying to follow up with a bunch of phone calls and emails to figure out what's going on with this thing, where the pattern recognition of AI can flag that immediately and have it just presented to them. So more of an assisted, kind of suggested pattern recognition tool, but with that feedback loop to the users, and really kind of having that user interaction, but as a co-pilot. I don't see it replacing.
It's also an error prevention. I mean, the way I see it is all these large LLMs, like you could feed it like 100-page of a supporting document, whatever, and it will go through it, it will separate it.
A whole lot faster than you can read it, right?
A lot faster.
Exactly.
You will actually get the context out of it, answer the actual questions for the underwriting, and then just tell you, well, you know what, maybe you should just focus on this last 2 pages to answer these last 2 questions.
Yeah.
So give me the
summary, save me that time. Let me kind of spot check it. It could even generate some stuff for you, too, and kind of give that back to the user, automate that process. I really see where AI is going to go to focus more on the automation. I think automation has been a big thing consistently through the insurance tech kind of industry, automating things, being more efficient. Speed to market is big for certain clientele and stuff like that. And I see AI is facilitating that automation a lot more.
It's funny, when you say automation, AI, everyone thinks when you say automation, they think RPAs, right? And I agree with you. I think RPAs is a good way to automate, but it's not an innovative way of automating, because RPA means that you're mimicking what a human would do with human capacity. AI has superhuman capacity, right? So when you're talking about automating with AI, what we're really saying is you're redesigning your processes to get the same outcome. But in a way you wouldn't have been able to do it before, because you didn't have the mental, the computational capacity. As a human.
Yes, exactly. Right? So you gotta adjust that scale, right? That's a key, and I don't think people put enough emphasis on that. Of AI is great, automation, like you said, is great, but it's not replacing a human. Like you always got to have those human eyes, but the power that gives you, the gauge and the scalability of that is massive. And I think that's the key to that is, don't use it to try to replace people. It's not going to replace people, but use it to assist people, but do it so efficiently that what we thought, was efficiency before is nothing compared to what we're going to be, right? That's the goal.
And I think that's what I'm most excited about. I look at AI as the same way I look at the internet, right? The internet came and disrupted the job market in ways that we couldn't have imagined. A lot of jobs don't exist anymore. A lot of jobs have gotten created. I see AI the same way, and I see it have. I think it's going to be a good thing, but it will force us as we automate more and more. And I'm going to take it to the blue revolution, right? The blue collar revolution, right? Like, this is what automation did to the blue collar. Yes, there was a lot of layoffs because those robots were actually building cars.
Yes.
But you know what didn't exist before robots? Is robot technicians, robot engineers. So it forced us to go into scientific fields, made us a little bit more, I would say, more curious, smarter, into learning new things and making tools that make other tools to make our life easier. I think it's a shift of the workforce. It's not an elimination of the workforce.
No, it's an advancement. Yes, absolutely. And that's kind of the same thing, and kind of bringing it back to dev roots, for me, that was kind of the same thing for like low code, no code. That was scary for like some devs, right? That was, people are thinking, oh, we're going to replace the developers. There's no code. But no, you're making that, like the developers are building that low code, no code option, right? So it's really a cool thing for developers. And I think general population kind of took that as, oh, developer jobs are going to go way down or stuff. Developers, we didn't see it that way. We're building a cool new automation tool. I mean, I had a professor in college who used to say, a good developer is a lazy developer. Coming back to, work smarter, not harder. So if you give a developer a tedious task and they're like, okay, I'll do this tedious task, man, that kind of sucked, oh, I got to do that again. Oh, I'm going to write something to do this for me, right? And that's our mindset. So when we had those, like the low code, no code boom, I think that's a great analogy back to kind of the machine first on like an assembly line thing, where developers just adapted to build those low code, no code options, the UI, the user experience and stuff for that. Didn't replace us. We just shifted our expertise into a different.
Well, the way I see low code, no code is, I believe that it's the future of our industry. A combination of low code, no code, and AI. It's for people who are afraid of it, or both, right? AI and low code, no code. I have one thing to say: you're gonna be out of a job.
Well, change is hard, right? It scares everybody, and that's the thing about the tech industry. You gotta adjust. My boss tells me all the time. I coin it to everybody that I train under me and stuff. You're gonna feel like you don't know what you're doing in tech. That's the life, If you ever feel like you know exactly what you're doing every day, you're not learning. So you gotta always be learning. Get comfortable with that, not knowing what you're doing, because that means you're on the right track.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel about AI and machine learning. I really think that it gives us the opportunity to focus on what our true value is as technical people, right?
Yeah.
Our true value has never been writing code. Our true value has never been organizing, structuring the code. Our true value has always been solving problems.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter what the tool is that helps you solve the problem. The ingenuity is in the method of solving the problem.
Yeah.
It's not in how you do it. It's the what you come up with to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Now, if I can solve a problem and then tell a computer how to solve it, and it spit the code in 2 days, as opposed to me hacking at it, I'll take it. Let's go there. So if this is my argument to developers, if you're really scared, if you think AI machine learning is going to replace your job, that's like thinking that development tools are going to take your job as well, because they made us faster, they made us more efficient. When you needed 10 developers, now you only need 5, right? Can you go back and work on Notepad as opposed to VS Code?
Absolutely.
Right.
Do you want to?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you work without boilerplate code? Can you work without snippets, right? Can you work with an ORM? Do you really want to go build connections to your databases and match your code to your data structure at every single call, right? That's how I look at it. Like, really, you have to adopt it and look at it. Yes, we went from 10 to 5. AI and low code are going to get us from 5 to 1. But guess what? The need is going to skyrocket.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we actually see the potential of software development. So I encourage all the young generation in there, don't be discouraged. Get into computer science, get into software development. There's going to be a lot more software development jobs 5 years from now than there is today.
Yeah, it's not an industry that's going away for sure.
Guaranteed. This was fascinating, man.
Yeah, no, it was a great talk. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so let's talk about this convention, like everything that you've seen. What's the golden nugget?
Well, I think AI is the big buzzword, right? That's everywhere. You see it. That's a lot of talks on that. So I think that's obvious. That's the big thing. But the networking, the people, that was something for me. This being my first show and being more on that development side, you don't always know the industry is this big, right? So for me, that was the big thing coming here. That was the networking and learning these people and hearing different stories and learning about like different cool products that people have come up with, and even seeing some competition and stuff that you've heard names about, and just kind of understanding the whole space and just how large it is. Like, this blew my mind how big this show was. I had it was in Vegas. I knew it was going to be big and everything, but it's massive, and it was a lot. The networking is probably the best thing I think I've taken out of it for sure. I've learned a lot more about insurance in these 2 days, I think, than I have in a couple of months just trying to piece it together as a developer that's writing some software that does it, right? So, yeah.
Well, Hunter, it was a pleasure having you. Thanks for coming here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as always, thank you for being with us. We invite you to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you all next time.